Hello all. In a recent meeting with a number of foreign diplomats, Bibi explicitly said that reconquering Gaza is an option at this point. So I thought I should talk about that a little bit. To set the stage, Israel took over the Gaza Strip in the 1967 war, and Israeli farmers settled there. Incidentally, with Israeli farms there, Gaza became completely self-sufficient for food for the first time in its history. Until 2006, when the then Prime Minister, Ariel Sharon, implemented a unilateral withdrawal from Gaza, taking the Israeli farmers off their land and turning Gaza over to the Palestinian Authority. Incidentally, while a group of American philanthropists paid the farmers to leave everything intact behind them, it didn't do much good because Arab mobs destroyed everything, which is why Gaza is now not self-sufficient in terms of food. Shortly after the withdrawal, the terrorist group Hamas seized power in Gaza in a military coup, which is why we have lived for over a decade with Hamas ruling Gaza and the Palestinian Authority holding power in the West Bank territories. This is also why there has been this on and off state of war between Israel and Hamas. Okay, first question. Does Israel have the ability to take over Gaza once more? Short answer, yes. Long answer, yes. The military power differential is huge. We could take the place anytime we want it. We could burn the place to the ground anytime we want it. We haven't done anything like that up to now because, well, never mind. Second question. Does Israel have a legal right under international law to take over Gaza? Yes. Although people hostile to Israel have tried to ignore it, the fact is that Hamas's rule in Gaza is completely illegitimate. It's a military dictatorship that seized power from the internationally recognized and, in theory, elected governing body. Now, to go further, if we treat Gaza as a separate country from Israel, and Hamas as its governing body, then in this latest round of conflict, Hamas launched a premeditated attack on Israeli civilian population centers over internal Israeli affairs, and Israel has a legal right to do whatever is necessary to safeguard its citizens, up to and including overthrowing the Hamas regime in Gaza. If we treat Gaza and Israel as being the same country, but with multiple bodies claiming to govern it, a la the One China policy, then Hamas has begun an internal conflict. It's a civil war, in which case Israel will be reclaiming a part of its contiguous territory. Final and most complex question. Would Israel reconquering Gaza make things better? I preface this answer with a disclaimer. I am on one side of a long-running ethnic-religious conflict. And while I'm sure that everything I say is factually correct, everything I say is coming from a particular point of view, especially in this case, as I was a part of the Orange Movement opposed to withdrawal from Gaza. We argued that if we withdrew from Gaza, that terrorists would take it over and use it as a base to launch attacks on the rest of Israel, and we were right. Reimposing Israeli rule over Gaza would be best for everyone involved, except the corrupt Hamas leadership. Since Israel's departure from Gaza, there has been a significant drop in standard of living, rule of law, jobs and wages, and civil rights. With Israel back in control, not only will Israelis be safer, but Gazans will be safer as well. Since they won't have large terrorist gangs in charge of them, firing rockets from schools, hospitals, and dense residential zones. Any possible future conflicts will be much smaller, with far less destruction and loss of life, while Israeli control will inevitably lead to relaxed border controls, allowing Gazans to rebuild their economy. In every material way, the life of Gazans would be much better under Israel. Now, if you are critical of Israel, you may be thinking right now that I am not addressing the moral needs of Gazan people, especially their right to self-determination. And it is true that the Gazan right to self-determination would be circumscribed, unless Israel fully annexed Gaza, granting every resident full Israeli citizenship, that is, which I don't think will happen, certainly not anytime soon. But let me posit you this question. Do you really think that the people of Gaza genuinely have any right to self-determination under the rule of a dictatorship imposed by a terrorist gang that seized power in a military coup. Now, the people of Gaza are in a bad situation. And in the current situation, there is only one bunch of people who could make it better. Hamas could turn Gaza into a democracy anytime they want. They choose to keep their power. They choose to keep up a conflict with a much more powerful state. They choose to launch attacks using the civilian people of Gaza as human shields. The situation of Gazan people will only get worse the longer the current status quo lasts. That's my say. And whatever actually happens, I'm sure that we all hope and pray that everything will end in a peaceful resolution to all of our problems, and everyone will live in peace, freedom, and harmony. Until then, we're still stuck with this long-running ethnic-religious conflict. And the only thing we can do is the best we can. So, thank you for tuning in. If you have anything to say, please comment below. I really want to hear what people have to say. Like I said, I have a very particular point of view on things that are going on here, and I'm very happy to hear from another point of view because, well, I want to learn. And that's it for now. Thanks for tuning in. I think I said that already. Maybe I didn't. Anyway, have a good day and God bless.